Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's try out one of Dyespin's new dark horse dyes, which were made for ice dyeing, called Fire Sphene. I'm going to do a roll design on this shirt, so I'm going to grab one corner of the hem of the shirt and fold it up to the opposite shoulder of the shirt. Basically folding the shirt in half kind of diagonally. It's not a perfect diagonal fold though. Then I'm going to take an old piece of sinew and a washable marker and wrap the sinew around the washable marker. I'm going to place one end of the sinew on that point that was formed with the fold and then use that to draw an arc on the shirt. This line is the line that I'm going to roll. I'm going to roll the line as tightly as I can, and as I'm rolling this line, I'm going to try to promote the fabric on either side of the line to roll as well. It's a little bit easier on this design to start on the part of the shirt that doesn't have the sleeve. I was having trouble getting that sleeve to roll properly. Once I have the shirt rolled, I'm going to fold the shirt right on the line that I just rolled. So it's not going to be an even fold on the shirt. Then I'm going to take some kite string to hold this fold and the rolled part of the shirt all together. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be trying out Fire Sphene, which is a new dark horse dye that comes from Dyespin. The dark horse dyes were developed for ice dyeing, and they're sometimes kind of a wild card. You don't exactly know what you're going to get. So this is my first time trying out this color on a shirt. I'm going to do an incline on this shirt, so I'm taking the shirt and placing it down inside of a piece of vinyl guttering. Then to make sure the shirt doesn't slide out of the guttering when it's inclined, I'm going to take some kite string and tie it to one end of the shirt, and then tie the other end or attach the other end of the kite string to the top of the piece of vinyl guttering with a metal clip. With the guttering laying flat on my table, I'm going to apply some ice to the top of the shirt. And I have several of these small little bags of ice, which I've gotten when I've gone out shopping. They place them in my cold items. I just throw these down in my freezer and I use them for this purpose. So I'm going to use up several of these that I have laying around. Once I have the ice on the shirt, I'm going to go ahead and incline it by placing one end of the vinyl guttering down inside of a plastic tote. This one, the sides of the tote are just a little bit shorter than 6 inches. Leaving one end of the vinyl guttering hanging over the edge is going to place the shirt at an incline. I'm going to bust up some of these larger pieces of ice, and as I'm placing the ice on the shirt, I want to make sure I have a lot of ice down at, well, I guess up at the very end of the vinyl guttering. Sometimes that area, because it's at the top, can maybe not get as much ice as the rest of the shirt, so it can be a little bit lighter in that area, and I don't want that. So I'm paying a little extra attention to the top part of the guttering to make sure I have plenty of ice there. Now I'm going to sprinkle the Fire Sphene over the top of the ice, and I'm going to add a little bit of additional dry soda ash over the top of the dye. Normally, whenever I do these rolled designs, because they are so thick, I usually go ahead and place the dye under the ice, but this time I want to see if I can get some really cool color splits out of this dye, so I'm going to apply the dye over the top of the ice. Let's see how this works. After the ice melted, I came back and actually lifted the shirt up out of the guttering to check the back side, and it really looked pretty good. I mean, it looked like the dye had gone through really well. So I decided not to add a second layer of dye and ice to the back side, which is what I normally do for these rolled designs. Instead, I did notice that I had quite a bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top of the shirt. And in my experience, what happens when you leave that dye like that is a lot of times those can end up just as darker spots on your shirt. So what I try to do is catch those areas before they sit and process a long time. And I try to dissolve those by spraying them with a little bit of soda ash solution until I can get the dye to dissolve and run down through the shirt. So I did that with this shirt, and you can see, the dye did dissolve pretty well. And so after I sprayed the shirt, I went ahead and left it for about 24 hours before I rinsed it out. As you can see, when I take the shirt to my sink to begin rinsing it, the dye's gone through really well to both the front and the back side. There are a few lighter areas, but I'm going to leave those alone because I really want to see how this dye splits, and I don't want to oversaturate it with dye. So I begin rinsing the shirt in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I untied the shirt and I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of rinsing for a long time, I placed the shirt in my utility sink, added some really hot water and a little bit of Blue Dawn dish soap. I placed the shirt inside and just allowed it to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I placed the shirt in my washing machine along with a little bit of Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so the shirt has been washed, dried, and ironed, and let's see what this new color looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? Because I think this is a really funky color. This color has a really bright green, kind of a lime green. I'm getting a little bit of blue, kind of almost a little turquoisey kind of color. Of course, yellow, orange. I don't know. I honestly went in with no expectations. I didn't know what this color was going to be, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I think it's a really bright, vivid color. I Googled fire sphene, and I totally get where they get the name. I don't know if you've ever looked up a fire sphene before, but it's a gemstone, and it has lots of these colors. So I think it's the perfect name for this color. I had never really heard of a fire sphene before. As far as the design goes, I think it worked really well. For some reason, every time I look at that line that I rolled, I think of a praying mantis. I don't know why, but that's the first thing I think of when I look at it. And I'm really pleased with the color saturation. Like I said, normally whenever I do these rolled designs, I go ahead and turn the shirt over, add more dye and more ice to the back side because they are really thick folds. And if you're wondering, this is a size large shirt, so it's not like I'm doing a child size shirt or a size small or something that maybe doesn't have as much fabric. This is a size large, so I have a fair amount of fabric, and I think the dye went through the shirt really well. So I am overall really pleased with applying the dye over the top of the ice. I did get the great color splits. I think I got a great representation of this color because I think this shirt, I'm seeing all the same colors as I saw in my color swatch. So I'm really pleased with that. And as far as the color goes, I think it's really cool. If you're looking for a nice, bright, vivid, vibrant color, I think this is a great one. And I think it adds some variety to the Dark Horse dyes. I don't know of another color that Dyespin has that's close to this one. So I think that's great that they added in something that was a little bit different. So overall, I love the shirt, love the color. I think it looks really cool. But what do you guys think? Do you like this one? Do you like the color? Have you used this Fire Sphene color? And what's your opinion of it? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.